Debrief.
No, not debrief, brief.
Oh, sorry. Post brief.
What is the word of the day?
Don't let this suck.
Read it off the wall behind you. Don't suck too much.
Don't suck too bad.
Don't suck too bad. That's the word of the day, ladies and gentlemen. This is David Costa. I am the Renegade Aviator. And let me bring Mrs. Renegade Aviator in. Hello, Laura.
Hello.
I am way out here in Austin, Texas, getting ready to go punch into some thunderstorms today. That'll be fun.
Fun.
Anyway, part of a 2.5 week trip I've been on. I don't know how long it's been, but we're starting off today. You know, I wasn't going to do the podcast this week, but I figured if I don't keep doing it, I'll just get out of my intention. So, like it or not, ladies and gentlemen, you got me back. You got me and Mrs. Renegade. And as I promoted the initial page there's Laura's, I promoted this show with. I don't know where she comes up with these things, but evidently my daughters have learned this from me, which is interesting. But I would like to say that I got it from my father. So there's a whole lot of fingers going on today. So this in case you haven't figured it out, this is like me saying meow on guard frequency when I'm flying. So for those of you that get all pissed off that, oh my God, he's not professional being there. Everybody in the Costa family's giving the finger. Anyway, Laura normally hangs out with real air show pilots. You can see her there with Gene Susi and Bill Stein. But when she's not with real air show pilots, she hangs with me. So anyway, we're going to kick off. The whole purpose of this each and every week is I'm going to run through a couple of news stories that are kind of linked together. I'm going to give you kind of my spin on it. Some of you are going to get triggered and pissed off, and some of you might actually like it. But here's what you can do. If you go to my email, and if you just go to my email, I think I have it here. If you go to Renegade Aviator, there you go, at gmail.com, and you said, hey, Renegade Aviator, I listened to your podcast. Give me one of your stickers. I'll send you one of our team stickers, and I'll even pay for the stamp. How about that? I'm a hell of a guy. So let's get started without further ado, because I do keep these things short. And I'm going to start off with what I'd like to say, wake the fuck up, Renegade Aviators, or wake the fuck up, aviators, because in the news today or this week was an AI-piloted F-16 completed a test dogfighting against real pilots. So I thought that was interesting, and I want to talk about that because the days of aviators are going to be short-lived, I think. And my offensive opinion on this is as the pilot pool will vanish when being an aviator ceases to be cool. And AI ain't cool. I don't give a shit what you say, but AI is not cool. And it's coming. So here's the article. This was from Ars Technica, and it is AI-controlled jet fighter has now flown against human pilots. So they're running tests with this aircraft, which is an F-16, which, Laura, you know, I've flown an F-16, and I was not impressed because it was so damn easy to fly.
Oh, yes, you said that.
And because I can't fly one, because I'm not a real fighter pilot. I just play one on TV. It pissed me off that I can't fly them. So now I'm going to say that I don't like them. They're too easy to fly. But very, very simple airplane to fly, believe it or not. But the Air Force is testing this thing. It's this DARPA, the Air Combat Evaluation Program, where they are trying to develop aircraft that basically are autonomous and can fly themselves. So although the Air Force, all this Top Gun crap is going to go away pretty quick when you get airplanes that can fly themselves. Remember back in the old days when we said that drones wouldn't be used to drop bombs, right? I don't know. Do you remember that, Laura? Remember we were talking about
I do.
They would only be like surveillance. And then we started dropping bombs from drones, and now we've got fighter jets that are taking the cool factor out of being a fighter pilot. So if you want to bring diversity to the fighter pilot community, make them fly themselves, and you lose all the cool factors. So there's your diversity, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have fighter jets that fly themselves, but this is it's a way, I guess people say, well, it keeps people out of harm's way. It keeps our combat aviators out of harm's way. And I'm not sure that's a good deal, because as a former combat guy myself, if you don't have the balls to put yourself in harm's way, you got no business killing people. Did that sound right?
No, exactly. What do you mean by that?
Lay your balls
You
on
have
the
no business
line.
being in the military.
Well, I just don't like it. I don't like this whole shift going away. We're going to more and more automation, and now this as we collapse the aviator pool, as we say, yay girls, and I say girls with quotation marks because we can't define women anymore. Remember that. I don't even know if you're a woman. I have no idea. I might be a woman. But, we've turned our combat group into some autonomous robot drone oriented, I don't know. First, we had Children of the Magenta Line. Have you ever heard that? You may have heard me talk about that.
I don't.
Well, pilots today, right? We follow this magenta line. So we have GPS and FMS and automation in the cockpit of the business jets that I fly. But now we've come full circle, right? So flying airplanes used to be cool. That's why a certain kind of guy or girl got into it, right? People that love that aviator mindset. It required a high degree of skill. The aircraft were kind of tough to fly in the old days. And now I'm talking like an old fart. And I need to get over myself because I have officially become old. But now we've moved into where less and less is required of the human being and more is done by the aircraft, yet we want to call ourselves aviators. So this is kind of a wake-up call to my aviator buddies out there, because remember, when anybody can do it, it becomes diverse.
Yeah, I kind of remember, like, people are aviators, and then there's people that planes because it's their job. They don't love it, like they have passion about it.
Well, yeah,
an aviator does.
Correct. I mean, they weren't. We get a lot less stick and rudder people in the cockpits of airplanes, but when anybody can do it, it becomes diverse until the point where the human being is pulled out of the equation. If you're going to go fight a battle, you better have the balls to put your ass on the line, because when we replace warriors, we all become sheep. And that's my political statement of the morning. And you know me, I'm always soft and gentle. I'm talking about sheep. That's a soft and gentle conversation. But I just have a major. I mean, this is the reason why I think we're having trouble recruiting military aviators, because we've taken the cool factor out of it. We made it into anybody can do it. And we've gone back from the excellence. Anybody can fly an airplane if they got the ability to work hard, study hard, put their ass on the line, right? And do the hard work. Many people simply don't want to do it, or they quit. But we're moving into a realm here where we're going to have AI controlled fighter jets. And I, as an aviator and as a wannabe fighter pilot, so all you people in the military that want to, oh, well, Dave, what do you know? You're just some wannabe guy that flies former military jets. Well, I was a Marine on the ground. And I'll tell you, I just interviewed the A-10 demo pilot, and we were talking about that big old gun coming in over your head and, destroying the enemy's will to fight ahead of you. I want a human being pulling that trigger. I just don't want these AI fighter jets. So that's me.
True.
Right? I mean, wouldn't you rather, to have somebody fighting a battle that they don't have their, if we're not willing to fight as individuals, we all become sheep, because it's like anything from a science fiction movie or just sissy stuff. But because I tie everything together, right, I'm moving my hands, really bad to do, really bad form. As I tie it all together, my next article, so you're thinking Dave said something anti-girl. Well, that was at the pool at my hotel.
Oh, I've heard about this story.
Now, this is not aviation related, but this is the next AI fighter pilot, I like to believe. But this guy was wearing a girl's bikini, and I'm here in Austin, Texas. So you know what they say about steers and anyway.
Yeah.
Next, look at this guy. Look, nice Marine, right? There you go, Laura. You like guys in uniform, a nice Marine. And I'm going to trigger people again because, excuse me, I'm coughing like an idiot. Because this guy, what do you think this guy did?
Was he a pilot?
He is a pilot. Yeah, he's a very, very good aviator. Meet the Marine Aviator of the Year. So looks pretty cool, right? Marine Aviator of the Year. Guess what he flies?
What?
He flies a drone. He flies a fucking drone. So, and so now I can bust. I'm a former Marine. So as a former Marine staff sergeant, I can point my finger in the face of any jarhead and say, I can call bullshit on this. Again, this is a first. In the first, a drone pilot in the Marine Corps has been chosen the top aviator of the year. I'm
you're kidding me, for a drone?
For a drone. So I got nothing against drone pilots, right? I got nothing against them. It's cool. It's fun to do, I guess. It's like flying a radio controlled airplane, which, by the way, at the Moses Lake Air Show, I'm announcing their RC air show part of the show. But so I'm not down on RC. So before Moses Lake Air Show fires me as their announcer.
But are they really aviators?
Well, this is my point. Okay, so if you want to call somebody the top drone operator, you cannot call a drone pilot an aviator. So I want somebody to disagree with me on that. Remember, you guys can comment. I see you out there lurking. You are allowed to comment on the show, and you can call me an idiot. You can agree with me or disagree with me. Mrs. Renegade Aviator calls me that all the time. So what I'm looking at here is we have this Marine, once again, ladies and minorities, once again, was a white guy that did it first. So you know what's going to happen next. You're going to have, it's now the first woman Marine drone pilot. The first, this guy will be next. I just showed him. It'll be the first trans drone pilot to win the award. Anyway, I just have a major heartburn with a drone pilot. Again, somebody that doesn't have their ass in the seat and is at no risk of harm cannot be called the top aviator.
Right. I mean, a drone can crash and if there's nothing to lose there except the plane, but their lives are not on the line.
Yeah. I mean, I've had RC pilots go, what I do flying that RC plane is way harder than what you do. I said, yeah, but your ass won't die if you crash unless you hit yourself with the drone. But it just drives me nuts. So I got nothing against this guy personally or anybody personally. I got really nothing against this guy. Other than it was, I was triggered. I almost fainted, dropped my tequila into the pool. Would you remember one of the people on our team, Jim, who worked with the drones? People were getting PTSD and combat pay for flying drones.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
That was years ago now.
It was years ago. Well, so this is why I tied them both together. We went from AI-controlled fighter jets, now dogfighting with real aviators, pilots. And now we've got a drone pilot as the Marine Corps top aviator. It's not my Marine Corps that I went before. I don't know what the hell's going on. So anyway, I'm about halfway through. So I want to talk about some aviator shit here. Oh, by the way, look at that. Predator drones giving hope to nearsighted wannabes since 1995. It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
If you need the word glad, there it is. That's the drone cockpit, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
See that? Isn't that dangerous looking?
Yeah.
That's an office chair, by the way. And
This
then
looks like a simulator. Looks like a simulator.
Yeah. Drone pilots be like, we're taking fire. There you go. They're under combat. Anyway, that's my, so now all the drone pilots that are fans of the Renegade Aviator now just ripped up their decals, which, by the way, if you go to renegadeaviator@gmail.com, I will send you one. Anyway, on to the next subject. What is that? Do you know what that
Somebody's
is?
ejecting out of a plane there.
That's right. So one of my posts this week, I'm going to start doing this, and some of my posts get more traction than others. So I posted this week on Facebook about ejecting or getting out of an aircraft. And if you go to Renegade Aviator on Facebook, you'll see a video of a guy trying to get out of the back seat of an L-29 with a parachute on and jumping out of the airplane. So a disclaimer before we go any further, I am not an expert on ejecting from aircraft. And here's another news flash that anybody that flies experimental jets like I do, none of you out there are experts on getting out of aircraft, especially military aviators that have the luxury of an ejection seat. And the whole point of this is what I really want to talk about is how do we get out of our aircraft when shit hits the fan? So, when the shit hits the fan and you're in a military jet, as you can see in this picture there, you pull the handles and you can eject. And I fly experimental exhibition military aircraft that have cold seats, meaning we have deactivated the ejection seats. And those of you that may fly some airplanes that you might claim to have a hot seat, I seriously doubt anything. Most of us, when we talked about bailing out of an aircraft, we talk about something like a pit special or an aerobatic aircraft. So we wear a parachute in the aircraft and we can climb out of it. That's a skinny version of Dave Costa, the Renegade Aviator. Marine Corps colors, by the way, in that pretty airplane. You remember that when I first met you.
I do.
That was my baby. Well, back then it was 170 pounds and I could actually fit in an S1 pits. But that aircraft, you'll know, is very lightweight canopy. You can eject the canopy, and in theory, you can, get out of this aircraft. We move on to the experimental jets that I fly now, and you see that seat behind me, and that's in the Iskra. That seat behind me was, in its military life, a hot ejection seat. That canopy would jettison off the aircraft, and that seat would fire, and in theory, would shoot the pilot out of the aircraft and clear the tail. And this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about jet egress because there's a bunch of us out there. You see us at air shows. You see us flying everything from L-29s, L-39s, MiG-15s, and 17s. And there is no perfect solution is what I'm going at with these Warbird aircraft or Warbird jets because we've deactivated a lot of the safety features out of, I don't know. I mean, at one point, the FAA didn't even let us have hot seats. But what I'm doing here today is I want us to talk about this a little bit. So anybody that has experience getting out of a military jet without an ejection seat, I'd love to talk to you. I might even interview on one of these things because I'll shut up and listen, but I don't think there's anybody out there. I really don't, because I've heard all the stories of how we're supposed to do it. And what I'm going to suggest is this. Remember, I do my, quote unquote, funny and irreverent stuff at the beginning, and I put some aviator stuff in there. If I'm flying a light airplane like that, you can see right up my nose. Good thing I blew my nose that day. That's a fine nose you have there, son. But out of this airplane, I can get out pretty easy. You'll see that I've got the straps for the aircraft, and I've got a clear, lightweight bubble canopy over my head that I can jettison pretty easy, and I can jump out of that airplane. But just look at the position of that aircraft right now. Do you think that I can just jump out of that? I'm going about 220 miles an hour right there, inverted, low over the trees. So what do you think the odds are of me getting out of that aircraft safely?
Not. I think
Not.
more people would ride it in if there was a problem.
Well, there you go. See, you must be Mrs. Renegade Aviator, because that's what I'm going to suggest. I'm going to say, I want to talk about extraction versus ejection versus a bailout. And so for me, there's only two reasons that I'm getting out of an airplane, physically leaving the aircraft. And one is out of control fire, right? Fire that I can't put out. And the other one is severe structural damage on the aircraft. You'll see here, that is an ejection seat on an L-39. See that behind my head there? That's part of the ejection seat. That seat is cold. So that seat is cold, but look at the size of that canopy. It's a heavier canopy than on a piston-powered aerobatic airplane. And then if you go back and look at my jet, that canopy over my head is about 400 pounds, at least a couple hundred pounds. So what's going to happen if I get rid of that canopy at the wrong time? It's probably going to hit the aircraft, because these were originally designed to be jettisoned under power off the aircraft. So fire, out of control fire, or severe damage. You will recall a flight recently, we won't get into the details, where I called a mayday and I was on fire.
Yes, I do. I was on the ground listening.
Yeah. And I made it in, and my checklist says shut down the engine, bail out. Or shut down the engine and eject. Well, I don't have a way to eject, and I ain't bailing out of the airplane. So we need to talk about stuff. If those of us that are out there flying as either a passenger on or a pilot in one of these experimental jets, whether it be an L-29, a TS-11 Iskra, L-39, a MiG, is when and how do we lose that canopy? You see, and then you know, so here's what I heard. I had comments on my Facebook page. Oh, it's real simple, Dave. Just roll inverted, get rid of the canopy, roll inverted, and let gravity take care of the rest. Well, I fly a lot of times upside down under positive G. It's not negative. It's not going to drop me out of my seat. And you've sat in my airplane. Where are my legs?
Oh, they're underneath.
They're way underneath the instrument panel. Right. So this whole thing, let gravity help and let you fall out of the aircraft. On a Pitts, on an Extra, on a plane designed as an aerobatic airplane, a lightweight aerobatic airplane, your odds of getting out of the aircraft are much higher, much slower airspeed versus a much higher airspeed. That can be as high as 400 knots plus. In an airplane like this. So we're not just going to climb out and dive out of this thing. So a couple of things to kind of keep in mind. Helmet connections, right? Helmet connection to my oxygen mask. And I'm not wearing an oxygen mask there. I just got a headset on. But that helmet is hooked. I've got microphone connections, earpiece connections, and I've also got, usually, as you know, Laura, now, after we've had some issues, my previous, I've been on fire more than once, haven't I?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, not in this airplane, but in other airplanes, I've been on fire multiple times. So now I wear an O2 mask.
9 lives.
Yeah, I'm running out of my 9 lives.
Yeah.
But I see Keith jumping on. Hey, Keith, how you doing, man? Great guy, man. Keith Charlotte. Well, go look at his photos, all his photography work. Great dude, man. He is. Keith is like the expert on all things warbird aircraft. He's got a memory better than I'll ever have. He can know the owners. He can probably correct me on many different things. But hey, Keith, how you doing, bud? So with that, we got the visor. Is your visor even down? Some guys wear the fancy little sunglasses. The visor's sitting up. What speed are you going? Where are my feet? Where are my hands? What am I going to do with the canopy? When am I going to get rid of that? What happens to that canopy once I get rid of it? And because at that point, all of us, when we fly experimental jets, we have to realize that we are test pilots. So those of us with this stupid inane thing, I always ask guys when I'm training them in these jets, how are you going to get out of the aircraft? What are you going to do? So the time to think about an emergency, this is for any aviator, the time to think about an emergency is not during the emergency.
No.
Well, I mean, listen to, you can listen to YouTube videos now, right? And hear pilots that'll kind of casually talk during an emergency. When you heard me call in on my recent Mayday, did I sound, well, you were with me on one Mayday in the back of the airplane.
I was.
Did my voice change in any way?
No, because I had no idea. I wasn't wearing the headset. I was just flying.
Because every single time we fly, we think about what's going to happen and when. So this week, I'm just talking about extrication, right? So when I need to put this airplane down, in my mind, in my opinion, two reasons: out of control fire and structural failure on the aircraft. So out of control fire, where is the fire? Is it in my engine or is it in my cockpit? As two options. It could be fire somewhere else, but I'm really concerned about my engine being on fire, and I might be concerned about a fire in the cockpit itself. And there's procedures for that, and there's ways to put that fire out. So before we start thinking about getting out of the aircraft, and on the situation I've had more than once is an engine fire. And engine fires, most of the time, will go out, hopefully. Right. I mean, but here's the thing, right? Well, so then I'm looking at, am I going to shut this engine down, which probably is the case, not all the time. Can I get that engine fire out? Can I proceed back to somewhere? And where am I looking to put the aircraft down? So on these experimental jets, and that's all I'm talking about here. So you can give me all kinds of stuff about my Cirrus and the ballistic parachute crap that they got now. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about experimental jets. On my takeoff, on my en route climb, in my cruise flight, on my approach to landing, I'm always thinking, where am I going? What am I doing? I brief that in advance. And if I have a fire, how am I going to handle that? When will I shut the engine down and glide the aircraft in? But I'm surrounded by metal here, right? I got a far better chance of staying alive if I fly that thing as far into the crash as possible, which you've heard me say before. Yes. Structural damage, well, that comes from, unless I'm in combat, but now we have computers doing it and drones. So see, we don't have to go to combat anymore. Wouldn't that have been great if I could have just killed terrorists from home instead of kicking doors in Syria? No, I never said that. I gotta delete that whole part. But when we talk about structural damage, of course, in the military, there's plenty of opportunity flying these old military jets on how you can get structural damage. And just flying formation, you can hit somebody, right? So don't hit people, which is rare, but you can hit somebody in formation. But chances are structural damage is fairly low. So I had somebody get on me. They say, yeah, but what if you're doing aerobatics and you over-G the aircraft and you break the aircraft? Well, how then, if I have structural damage on the aircraft, what probably is happening to the airplane? I'm asking a non-aviator because you'll probably know the right answer, Laura.
You're overextending something with the aircraft. I mean, this airspeed, I'm assuming, is too fast. Something broke off.
Yeah, something broke off. Let's say my wing broke off of the airplane. What do you think the airplane's going to be doing at that point?
It's not going to fly.
It's not going to fly. It's going to be tumbling out of control. So
yes.
All this, I guess I'm going to try to get out of the airplane for sure, but that's going to be extremely rare. If my airplane's tumbling out of control because the wing fell off, which is slim to none in the airplanes that we fly, it's a bad friggin' day. I'm pulling the canopy, letting the canopy depart. I don't care if it hits the tail or not. But this whole bullshit where people say, just roll inverted under your straps and fall out of the airplane and you'll be fine is crap. It's 100% crap. So my parachute is a glorified seat cushion, in my opinion, because all the other considerations I make before I do a bailout altitude. How high am I above the ground? If I'm flying an air show and I'm down to 50 feet, you know what? I'm riding it in, right? Or my airspeed. If I'm flying at 400 knots versus 100 knots, big difference in popping out of the airplane. So anyway, hot seats are rare. Those people, that's one of the big questions we get at air shows is, are those ejection seats real or are they hot? And they're not. And we can't all have a ballistic chute like on a Cirrus. So that seat cushion is basically just that, a cushion. But the purpose of this is not to say that it's any more dangerous than not. I'm encased in metal with this airplane. Is simply with everything we do in aviation, and I'm going to leave it at this, have a plan. Think about it in advance. Before and every flight I make, I brief one emergency procedure. Laura, you've seen me do this.
Yes.
Every single flight, I brief one emergency procedure because the only way that we can be aviators and excellent aviators is to have a plan. And then when that plan screws up, have a backup plan. So I tell you what we are doing for the air show, Jed, is we are putting fire suppression in the cockpit, believe it or not. We got a new thing coming up. So if I do belly in at an air show, we don't like to talk about that, but if I do, it could put me out. So again, that's not an all-inclusive. This is not flight instruction. I just wanted to go over that because on that video that is on my Facebook page, you will see it. Anyway, look at it. It's a guy trying to get out. And he wasn't really bailing out of the airplane. He was, I think he was Russian special ops, one of the guys said. He was just trying to jump out of the airplane. But watch the video. Go to my page. Anyway, Viper Jet update. On our closing out here since we're running a little bit long.
There is an update. Great.
Yeah, Viper Jet update. So the Viper Jet in the nondescript location on the East Coast that I'm starting another test flight program with, the engine has been looked at. The engine needs a corrosion inspection. But other than that, the techs seem to believe that it's a good engine. So it looks like I may be watch for my videos. If you're looking on YouTube, you can see one of the videos that we made. Just go to Renegade Aviator on YouTube. You'll see one of the Viper jets. So it's not many people, not many of us are qualified to fly the Viper jet. I'm one of the guys. And I've had some good stories on Viper jets, haven't I, Laura?
Yes.
Yeah. Don't get me started. We'll talk about Viper.
Breath while you fly.
yeah, we will talk about those again. But Viper Jet stuff coming, pretty cool stuff. Next thing is this is part of the new graphics on the air show jet, and I've got a request for artistic people. See that white skull? It kind of, with the gray paint scheme and certain sun angles, it kind of vanishes. We first did the skull in black, and that wasn't the right look. I don't think my skull was black, but nothing against that. But anyway, but what I need help with is I need an artist type. I'm trying to get somebody who can paint pinstripes and just kind of finely line the skull and the teeth with some black, like black edging to make that skull not disappear, because that's kind of a metal flake gray, and you know what I'm talking about, Laura. Here you can see the skull. It looks really good. And Janessa Link, by the way, did our graphics. She did an excellent job. I'm really, really pleased with them. She also did our new logo up in the top right corner. But I want to outline that skull somehow. So if anybody knows somebody that does pinstriping, airbrush work, whatever, please reach out to me. And the other thing I want to say is Moses Lake Air Show tickets are on sale. And if you go to moseslakeairshow.com, you can get a discount on all the tickets. So Moses Lake Air Show up at Grant County Airport up in Moses Lake, Washington, June 15th and 16th is Father's Day weekend. If you put in the code Father's Day, just put in the code Father's Day. You don't need any apostrophes or anything like that. Put in the code Father's Day, and you will get a 10% discount on any of the tickets. And that includes, I thought I had a little deal with this, but I don't. So I thought I had a little banner for it. But if you put in just Father's Day, you'll get a 10% off anything, even the VIP seats. So they got chalets, they got VIP parking, they got all kinds of cool stuff. Go to MosesLakeAirshow.com, put in Father's Day, you'll get 10% off of the current price, whatever the current price is, not the list price. If you buy tickets early, the tickets are less money than they are as you get closer to the show. So I'm trying to save you guys some money. Go there, do that. Send me an email to renegadeaviator@gmail.com. I'm going to send you one of my decals for free. And also Reno Air Show. I know it's a ways out. It's in October, but those tickets are on sale as well. So make sure you go to the Reno Air Show website and just go to airrace.org or go to their Reno Air Show. I think it's Reno Air Show. I had a graphic on that. I can't talk and look at things at the same time. I didn't pre-brief my emergency procedure. Now I'm all floundering. But you don't get a discount yet from the Renegade Aviator, but tell them that the Renegade Aviator sent you. We are going to do some cool stuff in the Reno area with the Reno Air Show. You may see our 40-foot RV lurking about Reno at events. And anybody involved with the Balloon Festival coming up in Carson City, let us know, because you may see our RV out there. But anyway, that is it. Did I miss anything important, Mrs. Renegade Aviator?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything we wanted to cover.
Are you? Oh, let's see if I look at that. There you go. You're not.
Oh, there's.
We do. Yeah, we do.
I'm playing with the banners.
Yeah, we do put the FU in fuel. Anyway, that's it. That's it for today. I went 36 minutes, so that means 6 minutes of boredom for somebody. But keep in touch. Ask your questions. Stay in touch. We're going to be anybody around the Minden Airport this weekend. If I can get out of here on time, I'm trying to leave. I'm flying a jet back to Nashville today, and then I'm flying home. We're going to be doing engine runs with the Iskra on Sunday afternoon out at the Minden Airport. We're not flying, but we are doing engine runs. And yeah, that's it. So anyway, for now, this is David Costa. I am the Renegade Aviator. See ya.